Welcome to this edition of Simsbury School News. My name is Dominique Avery, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this show designed to give you a closer look at our schools and at the people who work there. Today, my guests are three Simsbury educators who have been singled out as the top three in the entire school system for 2015. Melissa Farrington, a computer science and math teacher at Simsbury High School, was honored last May as the Simsbury Educator of the Year by the Chamber of Commerce. Jan Sands, a Spanish teacher at Simsbury High School, was named Teacher of the Year at Convocation at the end of August. That was the opening day event for teachers. And Patty McDonald is a special education assistant at Tarryville School, and she was also recently honored as Simsbury Paraeducator of the Year. Congratulations to all three of you, and thank you so much for coming here. There's been a lot of talk in the news lately about teacher shortages and that teaching is no longer a popular profession. I don't think that's true here in Simsbury, but I thought it might be interesting to ask each one of our guests how they ended up working in the schools. Melissa, I'm going to start with you. Can you tell us your story? I know it wasn't a simple story, so tell me about it.
I majored in computer science and worked in industry, had children, and my children were premature. So I ended up staying home, and the more I stayed home, the more I enjoyed staying home. So I took some time off, and then when I decided to go back into the workforce, I had spent so much time working with children and youth by that point that I really felt like I wanted to do something where I could give back to children like my own children. And so I decided that I would pursue an education degree, and I went through the alternate route to certification and got certified to teach math. Started teaching at the high school, knowing that I ultimately wanted to also introduce computer science. And so now I teach both math and computer science at the high school.
So I think a lot of professionals think that I think there are two views. There are some teachers who feel like the alternate way is not a good idea, that you really need to know how to teach, and others think it's much better to have people who know their subject matter. Do you have any opinion about that?
Well, I think coming in for me, I obviously did not have as much of an education background as if that had been my major. I think that I did have a lot of knowledge about my subjects that I teach, and I think that you bring your skills to the classroom and you learn the other skills, and the support from teachers in the building is so strong, and everybody is so supportive that we all have our strengths and we work together and we help to build each other up. And so I think that everybody brings something to the table, and I think we all teachers have something to offer, and we all are striving to always improve ourselves and improve our teaching. So I think that regardless of your path, I think if you love teaching, if you love being in the classroom and you're in an environment like Simsbury, you have the support and you can grow and become a really good teacher.
Thank you. It's an interesting story. Patty, how did you get in the schools?
I was a classroom teacher in Massachusetts when I first started out, and then I had children, so I took a little break, and then when I got back into teaching, I ended up in daycare, and I ran a preschool program for a number of years, and then when we moved to this area, I got the job in Simsbury at Tarryville as the paraeducator, and it was perfect for me because it was what I needed at the right time. You know, I could still get to work with children and teach, and still be home when my kids needed me when they were young. They don't need me anymore, but
Right. Oh, they always need you. Jan, how about you? Your story's different. You started out.
I wanted to be a teacher my entire life, and from the first day of Spanish class, I said, "Oh my gosh, this is perfect. I get to talk with everybody in a different language and explore cultures and." When I walked into my first day of Farmington High School with my Spanish teacher there, she just confirmed the idea that there was no more joyful profession on earth, no more important profession on earth. And I have been there ever since at Simsbury High School.
So that's a lot of years.
I student taught in Simsbury High School also, and that was 1978. And I have been there all of these years, very happily.
So it seems to me that none of you agree with the the conversation that's going on sort of countrywide that people are not going into teaching and they don't like being in teaching. Does that have something to do with the school system that you teach in? Do you think that...
Well, I completely concur with what Melissa said about the supportive atmosphere. I have felt supported my entire 37 years here. There was never a day that went by that, or a problem that I had, that I couldn't find someone close by to guide me through it, help me through it, or work it out together. My colleagues, the administration, I do feel that's extremely important, the support that we have around us.
Well, you already said that.
Right.
Do you observe a lot of teachers in your position? Do you?
I absolutely agree. I work at Terriffill is the smallest school in the Simsbury school system, and that's what I love about it most. Is it is so small. It's like its own little community, and you get to know all the staff really well, and because there's not that many teachers in each grade, you get to work with a lot of teachers over the years, and you get to know a lot of the students as well, and it's just a really nice place to work, and there's a lot of support from everybody.
I personally taught school for 5 years. I taught 3rd and 4th grade, and I thought for 3 of my years it was the worst job in the world, loneliest. It was a lot of years ago, and there wasn't a lot of support. One year I taught with a full-time assistant. And it was amazing because we had the ability to share our feelings about the children and the work we were doing with other adults. And it sounds to me like Simsbury is a very different place, that you get to do a lot of this sharing.
Well, one of the things that I have seen change over the decades is that collaboration is a priority right now. We have so much to offer and learn from each other that collaboration is almost as important as what we teach, because of that, what you say. When people are alone, they leave the classroom. One of my jobs is to support new teachers, and there is a lot of research about more than half of new teachers leave within the first 5 years,
Right.
and teachers who feel supported professionally and personally do tend to stay more, and I think that's something that we do offer, and it really is a priority.
The 3 of you are here today because you were singled out as special. And teachers rarely get the opportunity to be singled out. I wanted to ask each one of you, what was your reaction to being honored and getting this award, and why or was it important to you? Melissa, can we start with you
Well,
again?
I think that it's always nice to be recognized for work that you're doing, and I was especially excited that the work that I'm doing in computer science was recognized, because I feel like it's an important area that our children are exposed to. And so the fact that it wasn't so much the recognition for me personally, but the recognition for what I was doing, and that the district felt like that it was an important thing and that we were moving forward with that. And so it was important to me.
So you've been doing a lot of things. I mean, you were here last year when we were talking about Computer Science Day and coding. And
Right.
So you feel like have you had a big influence on the department and on getting young women involved? Or?
Absolutely. I think that the program every year is growing. So this year I have almost 90 students involved in the computer science program, and this is from, I started with 13 5 years ago. So I think the program has really grown. We are planning our second year of the Hour of Code Computer Science Education Week, which will be December 7th, the week of December 7th, and district-wide. So I was in meetings yesterday starting to lay the groundwork for that. So that's very exciting that every student in Simsbury Public Schools will have an opportunity to experience coding once again this year in December. So it's
Sounds
exciting.
Very exciting, yeah. So did it have a special meaning for you to be singled out?
I think it speaks to paraeducators everywhere, because I think a lot of times we are like sort of the behind the scenes person, and maybe a lot of people didn't know that it was even a position that existed. And so I think it just brought to light that there's a lot of people that work with the students, as part of a team. And I think it was great in that respect, and I'm glad that they decided to do it.
So maybe you can you can tell us a little bit more about what a paraeducator is.
A para is a person who works alongside a teacher, a special ed teacher, and a classroom teacher, and we assist the students in whatever way that they need to be assisted in order to make learning meaningful to them and to help them with their studies.
So what is a typical day for you?
I have some small groups that I work with, 3 or 4 children together. Sometimes I work in a classroom with the students, and it's that every day. It's the same, the same schedule, but either in the classroom or out of the classroom.
So how many children do you actually work with?
Let's see, about 6 or 7 that I oversee personally.
And are you the only paraeducator at Tarrytown?
No, I am the paraeducator for grades 4, 5, and 6, and there is another paraeducator who does K through 3. So there's 2 of us.
Jan, what did it mean to you?
So many things. I was thrilled because this is a process that happens because your peers nominate you. And so to think that my peers thought that there was something special about me. But more importantly even is I feel a responsibility for career teachers to represent us well, that people can stay in this profession for more than 3.5 decades and still give every ounce of energy you have and be passionate and enthusiastic and loving. And I still love teenagers, and I think they keep me young. And it was important to me to represent people who have spent our entire lives in a classroom, that you can do it for all these years and still care so much about it. And that was important to me. It's important to me to be a role model for people, to say, I can do it. Jan has stayed and still loves it. I can do it too.
At the assembly where where it was announced that you were Teacher of the Year, George Austin, who won last year, said that, number one, you got a standing ovation from your colleagues, and Georgia said if you Googled dedication, Jan's picture would be there. And your speech was so moving and interesting. You were there. It's been posted on the website, and people can read it, and I would recommend that they do.
Oh, thank you very much.
To me, it's really incredible that a teacher has been teaching for 36 years and still have as much enthusiasm as you do.
That's important for me to spread, that is possible.
How do you do it?
I love kids. I don't think about it. I love the teenagers. Every day I laugh out loud. Every day I learn something new. Every day somebody says something I've never heard before. It's not hard. I mean, I am completely in love with what I do and the kids in my room. It's not that there aren't bad moments or frustrating moments, but I have learned, what I said in my speech was true, that the little moments mean more to me than anything. And I concentrate on those, and I don't let any of the other stuff get me down. I just look at those kids' faces and know what I'm there for.
So you teach a language, you teach
Yes.
Spanish. How do you have a special method? How do you do?
A special method. Well, you have to be really passionate and enthusiastic and use your body and use your hands. What I have done for all these years is that first, and it's the same for all of us, that we need to make connections with kids. It's all about relationships for me. It's all about the kids know I care about them, just like my Spanish teacher taught me. That once kids know how much you care about what you teach and how much I care about them, the rest kind of all falls into place. It's a joyful experience. I'm sounding very idealistic, but that's because I am. And that is the secret to my approach to teaching. It's about relationships and caring and passion and enthusiasm, and I just take it from there.
But teaching a language can be really boring
Not
because
to
you have
me.
to learn vocabulary,
Oh,
you
no.
have to learn grammar rules.
I never put boring and language learning in the same sentence.
But you do have to do a lot of repetition, or not.
Yes.
Well, how do you do it?
I
I've studied several languages.
I do think that passion and enthusiasm are contagious. I don't even start class till everyone's smiling. I mean, there is a comfort zone that happens in a classroom when caring is established, and all language teachers and teachers who need their kids to participate have to find a way to get teenagers to take risks. It's not easy, and teenagers don't want to look foolish, and speaking a language is a golden opportunity to look foolish, because every time you open your mouth you have that opportunity to sound silly. So it starts there with establishing a caring, safe environment, and all the kids know that for each other. And truly, it's not magical. It's what we just expect every day in our classrooms, that kids are going to come in. I love learning, so they better love it too. And what I always say is, if you don't love it, fake it. So,
have you been to Spain
many times? I spent my junior year there in college, and we've gone back many times. The last I went back a couple of years ago with my daughter. She was my roommate. We were both attending. I was at a graduate program, and she was at an undergraduate program, and we were roommates for the summer. So yes, I still am very passionate about traveling to the places that the Spanish-speaking people live, yes.
So while I'm still talking to you, I just wanted to remind people that the Simsbury Annual Teacher of the Year program was recently renamed for Kathleen McGowan, who a couple of years ago, I actually did a show on it. She was a Simsbury elementary school teacher for 35 years, and when she died at 87, she left a generous bequest to the school system, and the school board, I know they deliberated long and hard about what to do with it, but what they apparently have done is to provide $2,500 to the winner so that you can attend a national conference. Jan, what are you going to do with that conference money?
Well, the National Language Teachers Conference is held once a year, and it's really, I've only gotten to go once, and it was the most rewarding professional experience in terms of conferences I've ever had. So I'm going to go to that one. It's in San Diego in November. Nice. So it's very thankful for Kathleen McGowan for being so generous.
Yeah, well, that was and nobody had any idea that she had that much money. Right. Patty, maybe I'm not sure that you'll feel comfortable talking about this, but Simsbury is really well known as a school system that has very special education teachers. That's sort of a double-edged sword, because it ends up costing the school district quite a bit of money. But do you have any idea? Can you explain what it is that Simsbury does that's different or better, or why it has such a reputation as a great place for kids who need extra help?
Well, I mean, I can only speak to the school that I work in, but my special ed teachers that work at Terrafil are very supportive, and it's a very team-like atmosphere. So if somebody has an idea, we all collaborate, and if there's an issue or a problem or some sort of bump in the road, we can all work together to try to get over it, because it's all about what's in the best interest of the child. And I think that is everybody's goal and everybody's view, and I think that's what makes the difference, is you have to put the child first.
Well, it certainly was my experience. I had a child when we moved to Simsbury who needed special education, and she came from a school system where she had an extraordinary vocabulary, and the teachers just thought she was faking it. And it was a terrible year. And when we got here, she came home the first day, and she said, "Oh God, Mommy, they really want to help you here." And it was so moving to me. Anyway, that's my personal story. Simsbury gets top marks in a lot of other ways, and as a school system, and it gets all kinds of accolades, and we finish in the top 6 or whatever, or top 5, or the country and in the state. And lots of people out of town, I've heard them say, "Well, gee, how hard can it be to teach in Simsbury? You've got bright kids and involved parents. Is there something else that makes us special? Is it more than just the kids and the parents? What is it?"
It's a very good question.
Have you thought about it at all?
there's no getting around that we do have kids who come to school prepared to learn, ready and prepared to learn, and we are all the beneficiaries of that. We have supportive parents who expect excellence from their kids. We have a faculty across the district that expects excellence. We expect excellence from each other. That's one of the things I addressed in my speech, that when I came as a young teacher here, excellence was just the culture, and it continues to be that. So we are surrounded by excellence. The kids come from families who care. The parents care. The teachers care. I think all of those factors working together just do create a special place.
So, Melissa, you said something before that interested me, and that was that you've increased the number of kids who are taking these computer courses from 13 to 90, or is that what you said? How did you do that?
Well, I think that the kids did a lot of it. I think that when you're passionate about what you teach, the students that are taking your course then become passionate about it. They tell their friends that you really want to take this course. I can't tell you how many students I have this year that I've had their older brothers or sisters. And so that has been really fun for me to see their siblings of students that I've taught before now choosing to take the class. And I'm sure that's partly because their brother or sister said, when you get to be a senior, you should take that course. So, that is, I think the students have a big part in that, especially a course like computer science, which is an elective for students. They don't have to take that. It's not a requirement. So they're choosing to take that. So I think that word of mouth, that students enjoy the course and they encourage their friends to give it a try.
And was that a new course when you started, or was it an existing course, and did you change it, improve it? Did you make it particularly exciting?
The course had been taught at Simsbury High School prior to me being a teacher, but not for several years. So there had been a gap where that course was not taught at all, and I started from scratch. I made the course, the first course that I taught was an AP course, which your curriculum is dictated by the College Board. So you're following a set curriculum, but you're putting all your lessons, the way you present that material, you have a guideline of what you're presenting, but you put your lessons together.
So that's why you got Educator of the Year, because you created this course and now it's grown, and clearly, I mean, you're in school with her, you can talk about her.
I'm saying in my head.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Melissa has done incredible work at the high school.
Yeah, boy, and to me that speaks a lot for having professionals who are interested in teach, rather than just people who go to education school and then become teachers.
Well, I think especially with my background, because computer science, to teach the level of computer science that I'm teaching, you really have to have a strong background. And so I think that that's an advantage that I had by working in industry first. And I don't know if I had been a computer science education major, that I would have had as much background as an experience actually doing the job. So I just bring a different slant too. Mm-hmm. It's not that it can't be done, and a lot of teachers do it and do it very well. I just bring a different perspective, having been in the workforce and actually doing it in a professional way, position before teaching it.
Which do you like better?
I think at this stage, I've loved every job that I've ever had, and that's just me. I love computer science. I loved what I did. I was at different accounts every day. Teaching is the same thing. Every day is different. The students are different. You never know what they're going to bring with them. Every day they walk into the class, and you just don't know what the day is going to be. But I love it equally as well. I can't say that I prefer one over the other. It's definitely, I think in some ways this is much more rewarding. When I was in the business career, some days were not so good when you were in an account where a manager wasn't happy, and I worked for IBM, so sometimes I was in a position where a client was not quite as happy as we wanted them to be, and to try to turn that around but it's the same thing with students. Sometimes students are having a bad day and you have to turn them around too. So I think you develop these skills, and it's the same skill, you just have a different audience.
Jen, you said at the very beginning you always wanted to be a teacher. That's all you wanted to be. So when you did you go to school to be a teacher, or did you get a liberal arts education, or how did you do that?
Well, in terms of Spanish, you have to major in Spanish or French to be certified in a secondary school. So I majored in Spanish, but I had education courses also.
So where did you go to school?
I did my undergraduate at Central Connecticut.
Uh-huh. And how about you? Where did you go? How did you get into teaching? You started as a teacher,
I
right?
started as a teacher. Like Jan, I've never wanted to be anything else but a teacher. I have a younger sister, and she will attest to that fact. We would play teacher when we were little, and I was always the teacher. Yes, I graduated from Bridgewater State College with my degree, and I absolutely love what I do now. It's been an awesome experience to be part of the special ed department. And to be part of Terriffill School.
Well, I don't think any of you would have been singled out if you weren't passionate about what you do. And we're lucky to have 3 such outstanding teachers. So we're beginning to run out of time, and I wanted to give all of you a chance to tell our viewers a little bit something personal about you. They know you they now know you as teachers, but maybe you could tell us where you live, if you have a family, or if there's anything I didn't ask you about.
Oh, I live in Granby, and my husband and I are without children in the house right now. Our 3rd daughter is our dog. Our other 2 daughters have graduated from college and are living in the Boston area, and they share my love of language, even though they aren't language teachers. But one of our most rewarding dinner conversations were to talk about words we love to pronounce and how they sound, and so at least I passed that on to them.
My family and I all live here in Simsbury, and I have 2 teenage boys. And my oldest boy wants to be a teacher.
Oh.
So I guess I passed that down. So that's always rewarding.
So we know that you have a family because you stayed home with them. So
Right, yes, and I live in Simsbury, and with my super supportive husband, who puts up with my piles of papers and all the grading that I have to do.
And your Saturday visits to school.
With you. And my children went through the Simsbury school system, and they are one's in graduate school and one's undergraduate, and both should be finishing up this year.
well, that'll be a relief, right?
Absolutely.
So our time is up. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
all
Thank
3 of
you.
you for
Thank
coming.
you.
It's been a delightful conversation. I'd also like to thank everyone here at SCTV behind the scenes for their help in getting the show on the air, including our 2 camera people. And of course, thank you, the viewer, for watching. If you missed any part of the show, you can always watch it on our website. Just go to simsburytv.org. You can also see our schedule there of when the show is actually going to be on TV. And while you're online, please like SCTV on Facebook. I'm Dominique Avery. See you next time for Simsbury School News.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.